Oh man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is? Tuesday. Brewsday, Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah! It's time for Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar and Six Pack Store. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
There you go. You got one bottle cap open and one cracking tap of a beer can.
All we're missing is cork.
There you go. Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store in downtown Blacksburg. That is actually indeed where these beers came from. Went down there and talked to Mikey. And, you know, my wife, she's a big fan of like the sours and stuff. So she spotted, and actually Mikey picked these out for her, and then I realized, oh well, these are both actually wild ales. And then we realized there was a couple other ones, so we got a whole wild ale show. So here we go, Nate. I have from Three Floyds, how appropriate, I believe, based on the cool badass label of all these like dead-ish bears. I mean, is it?
Yeah.
It's maybe some sort of and plus I'm sure there's some sort of an homage to the Grateful Dead in there.
That's what I was wondering.
I'm not a big Deadhead or anything, so, but it's got to be. And it's called the Pear, I believe. So this is an American wild ale brewed with pears. I guess ABV would be imperative for this program. Yeah, you like that imperative? I'm not seeing it on here. Well, you talk about yours. Maybe I'll check Untapped and see if I can figure it out.
I've got the D9 Brewing Company Wild Things. It's a wild ale brewed with raspberries and black currant. And while the labels, it's their enigmatic cousins. And while the label's not necessarily as cool as the one you've got, I still like this this kind of crazy bear thing. And then I don't know what this animal is on here, but it looks like I would guess a jackalope if you're watching on video. You can see this weird little, it's got like zebra stripes at the back and then a weird long tongue. And
yeah, I don't know, because would that be a jackalope? Isn't the jackalope the one that has, or am I thinking of the rabbit one? The jackalopes usually have like antlers.
You know what? Well, he's got a top hat, so his antlers could be under the top hat. I don't know. I don't know what this animal is, but I'm very bad at wildlife unless they're in the sea. But I'm very excited about that this wild ale shows come together because I, like your wife, happen to enjoy the sour side of beer, and I've never had a wild ale before.
Well, all right. So I know I think we somewhat talked about that via one of our promos discussing wild ales. Now, I believe I feel like I must have had one at some point somewhere. And also just break in, I did check Untapped for this Pear. I'm looking for first things first, 8%.
Ooh.
So a nice hearty.
Oh yeah, this one's 6.
Yeah, all right, so decent. But this is just over a 4 overall score on Untapped. So that anytime you see something over a 4 overall rating on Untapped, that's a beer you're going to want to try.
And that's usually
no matter the style.
It's interesting. I use a metric. I do it with movies a lot. Is anything above. So for like movies, I use the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb reviewer score. Yeah. And anything above a 6 is possibly worth at least one watch. So my metric's much lower with movies than it is beer.
Yeah.
Like 4 would make it a must. Like, let's go out and try it.
Yeah. I don't really use Rotten Tomatoes. I'm familiar with it, so I know the kind of ranking system and stuff, but I do IMDb. So in my mind, if it's over a 7, it's probably worth a watch.
IMDb has steered me in the right direction more than Rotten Tomatoes has. I will give you that.
Yeah, that's what I like. So speaking of, I mean, I don't know if you got out and saw it. I don't know what the current score on IMDb. I'm sure it's gone down over the weekend, but I did go see Top Gun at Scoretti's. I actually saw it on Thursday.
What were your thoughts?
Early. So I gave it let me see. Kind of like Untapped, I do leave scores and stuff in IMDb. So it's still got an 8.7.
Ooh,
currently, which is surprising. I was torn between giving it a 7 or an 8. I think I'm going to give it an 8.
All right, that's fair. That's probably worth checking out. So I'm gonna say something probably a little sacrilegious here. I've never enjoyed Top Gun.
Well, so I was like, all right, well, my wife, she had never seen it before. So I was like, if I'm gonna drag you to go see the new one, we should see the old one. And as I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, this is like a typical just
Yeah.
cheesy
So
80s.
cheesy.
Like, so she was not a huge fan of the first one. She did actually like the new one.
Okay, so that
So-
that might be. It's not that I'm not like I love Tom Cruise and I'm a big fan of Val Kilmer. Even The Doors, which is a controversial conversation
Mhm.
on its own, but the man looked and sounded like Jim Morrison. But Top Gun was just so cheesy for me. And my favorite Tom Cruise movie, Days of Thunder. I don't know if you've ever seen that
Oh,
one.
I have it on DVD, of course.
I love that movie, and it's probably equally cheesy, if not cheesier. So I don't know what it is about Top Gun that just, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, in this one, it's even cooler because they did. I don't know if all of it was like it. Basically, like they're up in those planes, like feeling real G's and trying to say their lines. Like it was pretty badass. It was good. And
I will give it a chance on your recommendation. You've never steered me wrong.
I mean, it's
on
worth a
movie
watch. I
before.
mean, it's not amazing or any. I mean, it's not the best movie of all time, but it's worth.
Between your recommendation and my respect for Tom Cruise's acting ability, personal life aside,
I will say
I'll go
this
see it.
though, at first, because it was the beginning of it makes you think, okay, here we go. Like it's the typical, the same open basically. There is a lot of the same sort of film, where he's on the motorcycle and the jet's going off, there's a lot of that stuff. So it's paying homage. And there's the bar scene. There's instead of beach volleyball, they're playing like beach football and stuff. And it's like, okay, and it was cheesy lines, but then it started to get more into becoming its own movie, which was good. So it was the tip of the cap that you wanted, that nostalgia, and then it starts going, and it was good. It was well done.
Okay. We watched Cars over the weekend. Did you know that is Paul Newman and George Carlin's last film? I knew about Paul Newman. I did not know about George Carlin, but the craziest part is highest grossing film of both of their careers. Cars.
I can believe that, man. Those kid movies,
Blows my mind.
they're pretty popular. There's no doubt about it. So, all right, just real quick, getting back to the Tom Cruise thing, because I was thinking about it. So the first one came out in 1986. And then they finally do a sequel 36 years later. What other sequels have a gap of that long or longer that you can think? Can you think of anything that's that far of a gap?
Not in cinema. Well, what was so it would have to be a gap with no content in between. Because I'd say it's probably a pretty similar gap between the Star Wars franchise.
So yeah, if you disregard like the episodes 1 through 3, it's close in that regard. It's like 30 something, but still not as high. And the other one that I thought of without looking it up was Blade Runner. They did that.
That's true.
And that's still not there. It's like 32 or something.
What about Tron?
Tron was another long one. That one might have been like 28 years, but there are a couple that was more. And it's ones that didn't come to mind because I don't think I know. In fact, I don't think I know. I never saw the sequels because why would you? But Mary Poppins 2, I don't know, whatever that sequel was with Elizabeth. Something, whatever her name is, because the first Mary Poppins came out back in the 60s or something.
I've seen parts of both of those movies, but I've never seen the whole of either because that's just not my thing.
It was like a 50-some year gap
Good
between those
Lord.
two. And then if you really want to count it, and I really don't for some reason, between Bambi and Bambi 2, it was like 64 years.
I didn't know there was a Bambi 2. Good
Exactly. There
God.
should never have been a Bambi 2.
Oh, that's at a certain point. Why? Like,
Exactly.
why do we need to do this?
Yeah, I don't know. I digress. Either way,
Both Disney movies, though, of course.
Yeah, they do. Well, and I think that
Pump out the cash.
I want to say the Trons are Disney as well.
Trons are
maybe?
Disney.
But out of all the sequel, the Blade Runners, though, that's the gap that I think was well done. Because honestly, Blade Runner, what was it, 2040 or 2049 or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I think I really, really like that one. That one I might even like that one as good or better than the original.
I mean,
Similar to Top Gun, I guess.
as a sci-fi fan, I think both movies are just absolutely phenomenal. So I mean that one doesn't feel as weird to me as like why does Mary Poppins need a sequel?
I don't know. I guess for the younger generation.
They must have just not been making any money. Although it did have Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's always pretty solid and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not surprising because it seems like pretty much every movie that comes out, it's either another comic book movie or a remake or an unnecessary sequel. Now, that said, Top Gun,
Spinal Tap 2 is
Yeah.
going to have a long gap.
that'll be a 40-year gap, won't it?
Yeah, and I'm actually pretty stoked for that one.
Yeah, I actually, similar to making my wife watch Top Gun, when I heard of that Spinal Tap sequel, I made her watch This Is Spinal Tap, and man, that is just it's she didn't find it quite as funny as I did, which is not surprising in the least. But man, I love that movie. It is so damn funny.
It's so good, and I mean it's crazy how many things I find in my life that I can relate to, considering it's about a band touring the world off their album. But there's those moments in there that just kind of speak to everybody. Everybody's had things like this happen. Maybe not necessarily the exact same scenario, but there was a well, you were gone. We had a bear tip-off show at a venue that was under renovation, and no one told us it was under renovation. And the whole show, you can hear hammers and scissor lifts in the background. And I was like, oh, this is my Spinal Tap moment.
Yeah, that's
Just kidding.
there's always Spinal Tap moments like that, man. I do love it. It's kind of like I love this beer, man. So again, we're getting back to the beer. It is Brewsday Tuesday after all. Again, this is not my style, but this is delicious. That's one of the things I've noticed is, I do drink a lot more sours because, I always like to try beers, and since that's pretty much exclusively what BB drinks, I'll try them. But the ones that have the higher ABV, I tend to like a little bit better. And this is delicious. I mean, the Pear. I mean, it's got the cool artwork, zombified bears. I mean, those must be like deadhead bears. I mean, aren't I tried to show it. If you're watching on the Facebook Live or the YouTube,
I think that's
take a good look at the label. But
the reference.
I think it's
because it's even got all the different colors and motifs to it, so it's got to be a Grateful Dead nod.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind about that. Plus, we are the bear as well. 8%. It's very flavorful. You get the pear in there. It makes it's nice and crisp. Mikey did not steer us wrong on this one. It might be a 5, dude.
Oh,
but it's not. It's a 4.75. I can't give it a 5.
That probably means I'll end up giving it a 5.
There's a lot of good things about this beer.
I'm pretty jazzed about this Wild Things Enigmatic Cousins from D9. It's 6% ABV, so not as high. But the one thing I find really intriguing,
the color,
because it's made with the raspberries and the black currant. It's got like this cool pink color that almost like matches the can, and I'm a sucker for something like that. But also, to me, it's hard to rate a beer like this because it kind of speaks to that same thing where I love like chocolate's not my thing. It's the sweet tarts, the gummy bears, the stuff like that, like the fruitier candy. And this is like a candy beer. All that being said, it's absolutely delicious. It's refreshing. It's perfect for a hot day. I know, because I was just out in the hot sun. It's a 5.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're starting out with a bang here on this
one.
one.
Yeah, we're coming out swinging. I guess it might just be all downhill from here, I guess.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Either way, we'll give it a try. We will take a break, play a tune, and come back and drink some more wild ales on Brewsday Tuesday here with 105.3 The Bear. Stick around.